Hello, fellas and ladies. Fall Festival's about to begin. Odyssey is out. Now, the last chance we got to predict the Oscars before we get like all the information. Place in Hell is gone. Sound of Return is gone. A lot of stuff has changed. And a lot, pretty much everything is gonna change in a month, a couple weeks, really. Venice is in 2 weeks. Like that's crazy. How do we get here? Concept of time? What? Jumping right into it. This is the above the line predictions. Who knows how long this is going to take, so I'm just going to get right into it. So, for Best Picture, I'm not fully convinced just yet that The Odyssey is a complete steamroll. I recognize this is going to get double digit noms. I recognize that it's one of the biggest stories of the year, and it will be that up until the Academy Awards. But, like, Dune still exists. I don't think the existence of The Odyssey erases what I thought about Dune. And in fairness, what I thought Dune's gonna be can still be true and still lives up to the Odyssey. But I also think Dune could pull off something similar to what the Odyssey pulled off. Maybe not quite as big, but maybe it won't have to, being that it's a massive trilogy finale that's gonna be raking in hundreds of millions, dare I say billions, as like voting is happening. And if it genuinely is the battle of the action epic blockbusters, could there be a case that voters are a little more excited to reward Denis than to reward Nolan so shortly after they just did? I mean, they certainly could, although, is that just what we're doing now? Every time Christopher Nolan makes a movie, it just steamrolls and wins literally fucking everything. I still think Dune's got some juice. I don't think because Wicked fucked up that all sequels are gonna be screwed from now on, and this one might mog an Avengers movie too. That feels like something worth noting. I don't think it'll make more money than Avengers, per se, but it'll have a bigger cultural moment. It'll be everyone agreed the better movie. Either way, though, if we're talking nominations, Odyssey's the biggest lock. Dune has to suck for it to miss. I think even if it goes down the path of Dune 2, it would still get in. And then I have no real reason to say no to Wild Horse 9 yet. It's now confirmed to do a big festival run for Venice, Telluride, and TIFF. That's a bigger haul than Banshees and 3 Billboards. There's some speculation that it could be a smaller deal or more along the lines of Seven Psychopaths. I don't really have any, evidence to support that right now. We're gonna find out soon. But it looks like McDonough's got another, win on his hand. Could this be the one that gets him picture? He would have won twice already had Shape of Water and Everything Everywhere come out a different year. Although you can argue Odyssey already isn't going to get beat by this, per se. La Bola Negra, things seem to be on track for now. Doing Telluride and TIFF, going to keep gaining momentum as the biggest international play of the year. Double-digit contender. Sounds like if it was in English, more people would predict it could win. I'll be seeing it very soon. I'll get to the bottom of it. But nonetheless, I fail to see how this goes south. And then Project Hail Mary is going to get in. That's a lock and a half, and it's just gonna get in. Right now, the mentality seems to be that it's gonna get like the Way of Water treatment, and I just beyond don't agree. I think this is gonna have a hell of a comeback. Maybe not max out on noms. I still don't quite believe in director, but like actor, screenplay, and then like what 6 techs. Nobody's gonna debate VFX, sound, production design, but I think score, cinematography, editing. It's gonna feel like it was what we expected when it first came out. Like it's tugging on all the heartstrings, and everybody loves it. So it does almost the best it could do. I've seen some question if it's gonna butt heads too much with Dune and Odyssey as like the spectacle blockbusters, which I think isn't an invalid question per se, but I just think it's a different type of spectacle. Odyssey and Dune are these big movie like epics, these massive sprawling scales, and Project Hail Mary is a much more character focused movie. Not to dig at Odyssey or Dune, just these are different angles. Nonetheless, Project Hail Mary, it's gonna get in, it's gonna be just fine. Don't underestimate it. I'd also maybe say don't underestimate Digger. Now, Digger's trailer did make me wonder some stuff, but simultaneously, I think it has to suck for it to miss out. For Tom Cruise to miss out. And I don't think it's going to be trash. I think maybe like a low 70s on Rotten Tomatoes with, very, 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 very vocal supporters. Like a more acclaimed version of Don't Look Up, which, reminder, like I know it's weird to remember now, but like that was like a lock. Like BAFTA gave it best film nomination. Like it was strong. And maybe Digger won't do as well as we initially suspected, but the people that love it are gonna love it, and Cruise might just win. And because like how does he not? I think Digger is just here to stay. And Obsession. If you're still honest to God, saying no to it, it's beginning to feel like denial. I don't know what exactly else it has to do. Like, we said it's for, like, too young people for it to get Oscar nominations, and there's just no planet that's possible for it to make that money off of only passion from Gen Z. You got fucking Spielberg and Nolan and Francis Ford Coppola singing the praises of Obsession every time they are allowed to open their mouths. This is just not, like, exclusively a Gen Z thing. Indie Never Ready is basically a lock for a nom of this, right? Focus wants to get this awards recognition. They admitted it in plain, simple English. Do you guys really, in your heart of hearts, believe that Get Out, Sinners, and The Substance, like, all that was, like, a simple result of them having social commentary? The Substance is a hardcore body horror, like an extreme body horror. You're telling me that the Academy is so prunish they can't bear Obsession, but they can bear The Substance because it has social commentary. Like, they were able to handle that on a technicality. Also, I love Obsession, but I wouldn't say it has social commentary, but it certainly has elements of it. Like, to a degree that it can pass for a movie this fucking huge. Like, Obsession is the film story of the year with Backrooms, the next generation that's gonna save the theaters when Spielberg, like, dies. I think it's too big to fail, plain and simple. I think it may not be, like, a top tier player, except the fact that it's, like, aiming for an acting win. But I think we're settled, nom-wise. Like, I guarantee. Like, bet on it. Find the people who are still saying, oh, Obsession can't happen, like, Sinners or Weapons, this is nothing like that. And then cut to next year, whatever horror movie is up for the noms, they'll be like, oh, this is nothing like Obsession. That was too big, and Indie Never Ready had to get in. It has social commentary, I decided. That top 7 I'm pretty secure in. From there, I can start making some cases that these aren't locked. Although, I don't actually have a reason to say no to the invite, to be honest. Except to say that A24 could choose to not prioritize it, but even then, it was a hit. It's got A-listers. I know it's a chamber piece, but it's pretty universal and entertaining. There's nothing I can really say against it. My qualm initially is that it wouldn't make sense to only do 2 of the 4 actors if it's in picture, but it's starting to really look like it's going to get 3 out of 4, which I think is beyond doable. I'm going to predict the invite. Boxes are checked. I'm not seeing the glaring red flags. Plus, it kind of dawned on me that it's likely to get like 6 or 7 Golden Globe nominations. I do have All of a Sudden in picture. I don't think Neon's sitting out this year. They don't have like a slam dunk like they did with Sentimental Value or Nora, but they have stuff to play with in the form of All of a Sudden and Fjord. Maybe Artificial, but we'll see. They are playing with Fjord, and it makes sense why. It's the Palm winner. You got Sebastian Stan and Renata Reinsve in the lead role. It all tracks. But look, if you've never seen a Christian Mungiu film, you'll know why his movies have never been nominated. I do not care if a filmmaker has never been nominated. That means less than nothing to me. Last year, Josh Safdie, Clever Mendonça Filho, both never got a nomination until last year. But the types of films Mungiu makes, i.e. cold, dialogue-heavy, slow burns, like pretty, like brutal films, like they are not the most universal, and I say that as a fan. And the reviews came out for Fjord, everyone took it out, especially those who saw it. It was only being re-added to Best Picture after, like, the Palm win, which, again, it's a jury prized. And look, that Palm win gives the movie an extra layer of legitimacy. I won't pretend it doesn't. But I know the type of movies Mungiu makes. It sounds like he made another one, and I don't know if that'll jive with the Academy right now. Like, what if the Fall Fest don't quite cooperate with it? It is like right now #1 on Tiffer, which is the website people use to schedule TIFF, and Fjord has the most likes, which isn't anecdotal evidence, but it's a sign that it's amongst the season's most sought after titles. But maybe this widened net could prove a problem with, like, when they realize what it is. Whereas with All of a Sudden, it seems a lot more emotional. This is an Oscar nominee we're talking about. Ryusuke Hamaguchi got in for Drive My Car. That one international feature. We know they can jive with his style. It may not have star power, but perhaps it's not necessary. SAG and Guilds won't do this movie, but I doubt it'll be necessary. BAFTA may not even go that hard for it or Fjord. As a reminder, BAFTA picks 1 international film, and the likely only do La Bola Negra. But of the 2, I get the vibe that All of a Sudden is more universal. But hey, I find out very, very soon, so it won't be a mystery for too long. And look, I could just put the debut in and call it a day, but I'm nervous. Not about the debut specifically. I think its odds are pretty good, and A24 is sending it to Telluride TIFF in New York, so pretty good stuff. The trailer looks pretty good. I think it'll be quite a palatable crowd pleaser with 2 nominated performances. But here's the thing. If I just go with the debut, then I'm going to be stuck with the same 10 as Award Expert, but with All of a Sudden over Fjord, not an unpopular opinion. And then Gold Derby has pretty much the same thing, but with Behemoth over Obsession. By the way, I have no idea what the fuck is going on there. And now is the time to make the call, the pre-festival call. I've had mixed results for the pre-festival calls. My last year, my pre-fest calls were Hamnet and No Other Choice. In years past, my calls included Priscilla, yikes, but also The Banshees of Inisherin, and a personal point of pride was calling The Brutalist in early August before literally anybody else. Now is my last chance to make the call, and for a few weeks, I was whittling it down to Ink and Elsinore. Ink, which we thought was next year up until like mid last month, and has since been picked up by Netflix and now doing like every fall fest except for New York. The story of Rupert Murdoch by Danny Boyle, said to be very entertaining and energetic and fascinating. We'll find out soon, but I can see a scenario where even on its worst day, Guy Pearce could get supporting actor for playing Rupert fucking Murdoch, and it could get adapted screenplay on a bad day. And then throw a picture in, maybe you could say Jack O'Connell, editing, cinematography, score, although Pemberton does have Hail Mary as well. I can't help but think that stuff like this, if it's what we think, very social network coded, doesn't quite land anymore. I do think it would have to be like really fucking acclaimed for it to hit, to like really hit. I don't think it could just scrape through as a 70s on Metacritic deal. I guess it's possible actually. The other one I was considering was Elsinore, which I said was a psyop outside of Andrew Scott in the last prediction video. Maybe not directly, but I certainly felt it. I believed in Scott the second the reports came out, but the buck stopped there for me. But I've come around, kind of. It can be a very sappy and emotional movie with this performance that we might just have to put in. I'm not putting this into picture until I see that tip, unless the movie gets like legit raves, like from like reviews, not just the fucking Twitter reactions outside of Telluride. But the Telluride premiere is going to go so well for this movie. Like, it's going to be praised as the tearjerker that Andrew Scott's going to win. I want a little more info as to what this movie is beyond Ian Charleston biopic where he dies. But yeah, I was searching for the pick. What's hidden in the fall festivals waiting to hit? Could it simply just be Behemoth? I mean, I was all in when that trailer came out, but that lone NIF premiere made me reevaluate. And it could still hit, but it sounds like it might be a very good movie that doesn't land. So yeah, what's there to pick from? Sound like I'm not convinced about Ink or Elsinore. I can logically place it, but I'm lacking the feeling. I need the feeling. It's the feeling I had when The Brutalist became a thing. It was the feeling I had with The Banshees of Inisherin. I didn't have the feeling until recently when the primetime trailer came out. I've had my eye on that for a minute now, mostly for Pattinson. But then the trailer came out, and it recontextualized everything. For one, it's not the movie I thought it was. It looks very stylish, and it looks like it's going to make Chris Hansen look like a psychopath. Look, it could just have a good trailer syndrome, and YouTube views don't equal box office, but nearly 40 million views. This movie is ultra buzzy already. It's left the A24 loving bubble. People in my life who watch 5 movies a year want to know about this one. It's already reached memehood. I mean, you see how that looks, right? It really started to click that this might be a fucking huge contender. Like, yes, Pattinson, but also it looks like director, screenplay, supporting actor, maybe even supporting actress, cinematography, editing, casting. This is a big box office smash, and it gets like an 80 or, dare I say, 90 range on Metacritic. What exactly is the case against it? It doesn't look like the most conventional biopic ever, but that may not be a problem. Kinda looks like Nightcrawler, which I know wasn't exactly an Oscar magnet, but that will fly much better today. So yeah, primetime. That's my big pre-fest push. Let's see if I'm a fucking doof or not. I have a little more to play with than I thought I would last time I did picture. But let's speedrun these because I don't want this to be too long. Artificial is still a question mark. There's more narrative than ever for it, and Neon has been very open about wanting what their intention with this movie is. It apparently was doing the festival circuit until all the shit with MGM went down, but I still think the movie I thought it was going to be before is still that, but with more eyeballs. I don't think Luca Guadagnino's just banned from the Oscars forever, but I also think these modern biopics don't tend to land. I don't think Luca going too far outside of what he's good at, if After the Hunt is any indication, steering away from the low-key character dramas about personal shit and, not these social commentaries isn't the best course of action. I doubt this is going to be After the Hunt. One bad movie doesn't speak for a brilliant career. But I don't think Artificial is going to be it. Same with The Social Reckoning. It looks like shit. It's doing reshoots now. It's likely acting or buzz, which I won't underestimate. But this is looking like a hard no. But I guess there's a path where it ends up being just fine, and that might be enough. One more non-festival player in the maybe pile. Adventures of Cliff Booth. I'm close to being done with. I know that's weird to do for a follow-up to an Oscar winner written by Tarantino and directed by fucking Fincher. But it's reshooting right now. It just smells like no. It could still be a big deal when it comes out, and Like, it maybe get some text. Oh yeah, and also Werewolf. I just have no reason to believe this is like the one to push Eggers through. It looks awesome, but also it looks like another Eggers movie. Again, he'll push through one day. I don't think this is it though. Trailer doesn't even look like it's gonna get the text Nosferatu got. Now back to the fests. One is Club Kid. I got my eye on that one. I feel like that's gonna end up being no, but it sounds like it really got a hold on everyone who's seen it, and it's got crowd pleaser. Could rank at TIFF, but it also sounds like it's like Nom Hall is just screenplay, which isn't impossible but inherently suspicious. But I got my eye on it. Speaking of ranking at TIFF, here's one: Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother, starring Mahershala Ali. It's an action thriller drama. Doesn't sound very Oscar-y, I get that, but the trailer looks great, and pretty much every TIFF organizer has gone out of the way to hype up this very movie. Is there a world where like it wins TIFF and then becomes a big contender? You can certainly watch this trailer and see nominations. It would have to get that win, not just place. But of the TIFF premieres, there's typically one that ranks, and this is the only one that like my brain is letting me picture. Some will say I play Rocky, which I hear is actually really good out of the test, which I've learned to distrust. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I'm sure it'll be fine and watchable. But I will believe it when I see it. I just can't picture I Play Rocky actually becoming a big Oscar contender. I know it looks and sounds like one, and Peter Farrelly is a Best Picture winner. But yeah, it just looks like a boring underdog story. They're plying into the Rocky of it all and saying Stallone had that same thing, which isn't untrue. There's certainly thematic, like cinematic correlation, but Fairley looks to be doing it in the most boring way. Like, I'm going to play Rocky. And then, like, like the producer guy is like, no, Sylvester Stallone, you can't play Rocky or nobody's going to watch it. And then we know if it ranks or wins, then yeah, our hands are tied. But I don't think it'll actually happen. Same with Misty Green. I saw that trailer and saw the future. It's going to premiere at TIFF. Then everyone at the premiere is going to go, no, this is the real deal. It's going to win the People's Choice. It's American Fiction. Like, never say never. And, the NIF announcement did, move the dial a little bit. But I stand by that it looks kind of okay and unremarkable. I mean, maybe I'd be a little more open to it if Chris Rock didn't do it. But I don't know. Is Chris Rock really going to make a movie about sexism in the industry that's so good it's going to be a Best Picture nominee? The trailer did convince me of Dana Kaluuya. I will say that. At least the possibility of him. Bucking Faster, the new Werner Herzog movie, going to all 4 festivals. That hasn't happened to a major non-documentary, like, since The Power of the Dog, so that's fucking big. The concept, though, is interesting and doesn't scream Oscar to me. But if it lands, what's to stop the Academy from saying, let's give Werner Herzog his Oscar moment? It's a period piece, so it's got plenty of non-potential. The gimmick might be just too off-putting for the Oscars, perhaps. But like every festival said yes. You know what I mean? Like, could this just be the relationship Werner Herzog has with everyone is strong? I mean, maybe, but it's worth noting. Tender Love and Care, sadly announced to be the last movie from Mike Leigh. Great, I think you could get some notices and buzz. But it does seem very low key, I imagine. I'm excited. Being Human, again, I don't want to just assume it's Coda again. It looks like the scope is bigger. But it does kind of just look like a TIFF movie that we're only taking seriously because of Coda, which is a reason. That movie won Best Picture. But I think it's just going to be fine. Possible Love, maybe there's a world where it's just too good and it's the best breakout. But I learned my lesson last year. Apparently, if you're a South Korean movie, apparently get literally the best movie ever made to get in. Along Winters, the new Andrew High movie, and like under everybody's nose, it's going to every fall fest except Venice. Again, I have no real reason to say no, but I also can't piece together a concrete reason to put it in other than it might be really amazing. Josephine seems to like be making a comeback of sorts, really playing the festival circuit like hard. Confirmed for TIFF, currently TBD for Telluride, and that's it. For some reason my brain told me that NIF said yes to it, which it did not. If it does wind up being like just TIFF, that's super for me. It already kind of is even then. But hey, Sumerian ain't done with it yet. Then I don't know if there's a world Minotaur is secretly a big contender waiting to come back. We'll have to see on that one. After that, I'm not really considering much. I know some might want me to speak on a statement on a statement, if you will. Tom McCarthy's new movie, surprise announced for NIF. Some might have said this could sneak into the race. I think it's likely a fucking dud. Probably just going to be mid and uneventful. We'll likely move on after it's done. Michael, I still can't play with. I know it made $1 billion. It doesn't mean nothing. But it also doesn't distract from the fact that it'll start its season with no critic mentions, no Globe noms, and likely no Critics' Choice noms. Guilds can really only do so much. Sense and Sensibility got some flack for doubting that so strongly, and now it's skipping the fest entirely unless Tyride does it. Bad look. I'm done with it. For best director, I'm sticking with Denis. Call me a stupid, naive asshole all you want. I choose to believe. And yes, pure optimism isn't going to get him in. I know that he missed for the last two movies, and that very well could happen again, even though it's very stupid. All true things. But I do think it matters. This is the last, like the finale. I don't think he wins off of that. I'm not saying Return of the King. I think he wins off of other things. Like I said, it does come out while voting is happening. I think that matters. Even BAFTA and Critics' Choice nominated Denis for Dune 2. No reason to actually believe they won't this time, and Critics' Choice would be thrilled to give him the win. Nolan could win some stuff. He is literally the DGA president. I don't know how much that plays a part, but there is, like, that, it's not nothing. I believe in Nolan winning director more than I believe in Odyssey winning picture, if that makes sense. He did craft this billion-dollar grossing tech behemoth. I also don't know if I see an alternate besides Nolan and Denis, but if Denis gets in, I don't know. Again, Dune and Odyssey are fighting very similar battles, and if they have to choose between the two, wouldn't it be easier to, again, say, let's give it to Denis for his accomplishment and not the guy we rewarded 2 years ago? They can AGI Nolan. Like, I'm beyond not opposed to that, but until I don't have Denis in, I'm going to stick with him. And as far as the nom goes, obviously Nolan's an ultra lock, but Denis, there's so much reason to believe he'll miss. But I also want to say, I feel like people fall for this trick a lot. Leo missed for Don't Look Up and Killers, therefore he's going to miss for One Battle After Another. Martin McDonagh missed for Three Billboards, therefore he'll miss for Banshees. You have reason for skepticism, but I don't want to just say no simply because he missed before. For this franchise, yes, but I don't know. Every year it's different, and this does have a stylish shift, like, big enough that it could make a difference. And, McDonagh, he was brought up. I have no reason to believe McDonagh's going to miss. Wild Horse 9 is going to be going all out at the festivals. It might just be another hit for McDonagh, and this movie looks like there's going to be some set pieces to show off. It might not just be a talky movie. Los Javis for La Bola Negra seems like the type of direction that, like, it's a slam dunk, and it's international. The branch likes that. Only thing really stopping them is that these guys are kind of unknown, but I doubt that will stop them. If my image of what this movie is correct, it should be fine here. And then in playing with the theme of going all in on primetime, that trailer really looks stylish and out there and big in its direction. Lance Oppenheim could really come along for the ride and director. This is his first non-documentary film. That's going to be a problem. But again, same movie, but a more seasoned director, I'd say I struggle to see the problem. So I'm going to continue my convinced confidence in primetime and say Lance Oppenheim gets that nom. So that's 5. Just outside, I got most of these directors I would put in, but 5 slots, and I want to go all in on primetime. Ryusuke Hamaguchi is hard to leave out for all of a sudden, but if both Javis are going to take up most of the international spotlight, I can kind of buy into the idea that the movie's pretty small fry and small in scale. But he's a former nominee. Him missing doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I suppose I can predict primetime with that director, but it seems like a director movie to me. Alejandro G. Iñárritu for Digger. I didn't think I'd be predicting a snub, to be honest, but I think something's going to give with the Digger supposed division. And look, I recognize the artistic merit behind the sludginess of the visuals in Digger based on the trailer, but it also doesn't really visually look like something the director's branch would go for. But this is AGI, a guy who, like, won 2 Best Director prizes 2 years in a row, and I got him in picture. So I'm taking him seriously, I just don't have him in for now. Olivia Wilde's really popping off as a possibility, and I even said after watching it that was a real possibility. This is a frenetic and energetic movie with so many brilliant framing choices that everybody is taking the time to mention. And it doesn't hurt that in all likelihood, she'll sadly be the only woman in contention, which fucking sucks. Here's the problem. As much as it's starting to come together as something that might happen, Olivia Wilde is an actor-director, and The Invite is a chamber piece. That is a well-known losing combo, and while I think she will begin to manifest, I can't really justify her. Manju would likely get in if Fjord got picture, but for now, let's say nah. And hell, same thing I can say about Hamaguchi. Directing probably won't be too big in comparison to the other international titles, aka La Bola Negra. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I still say no, but I really think it could make a comeback, and I guess this wouldn't be any less weird than, like, James Mangold. These are technically Oscar winners after all. But this is a very well-made blockbuster. I don't really see the case for a directing nom as much as I loved the movie. I know some will say they get DGA. I might say that doesn't actually happen as much as it would make sense. Curry Barker for Obsession might be pushing it. As much as he might be someone worth celebrating considering the accomplishment of Obsession, and maybe his lack of status is a plus here considering what he was able to pull off with no budget, this is still a young man. I think I can certainly talk myself into being more confident, but then I have to look at Obsession as a directorial achievement, and it's very well directed, but in comparison to its big scale counterparts, it's just, it's pretty small. I know I just argued for the Invite despite being, the scale being smaller, but the Invite maybe tickles the ivories of the director's branch better, whereas Obsession remains small. It takes place in just a couple little locations. To its advantage, granted, the use of shadows, but a lot of it is still still cameras and long shots, cutting in and out. Atmosphere is great, but again, I kind of think if Curry were to get in, it would be maybe mostly a congratulations, and that doesn't always translate. A lot of people are now like, if the movie's in picture, then they're definitely, or perhaps, like if Minotaur randomly snuck into picture, I don't think it's far-fetched to say Andrei Ziganistsev would get in pretty easily. Same with Tony Gilroy, Denny Boyle probably, Mike Lee, again, final film, compelling narrative perhaps. And then, I don't really think any of these would happen. Like Jesse Einsberg, Simon Stone for Elsinore, I don't think they would happen even if it was in picture. Now for Best Actress. Last time I predicted Indy Never Ready to win, I was a little more dubious about it. I thought I was doing a hot take. I legit believed in her, but I was aware what could stop her, and also that Michelle Williams was there and also a compelling option. But now, A Place in Hell is gone. Michelle Williams is gone. So now, what the fuck else is there besides fucking Indy Never Ready? There's nothing I care about less than the fact that she was a no-name before Obsession. She's not a fucking no-name anymore. She's a highly, highly, highly sought-after actress. She just got depressingly cast in a Marvel. She gave the most talked-about performance of the year so far, and let's just be so for real here, probably till the end of the year, at least one of the most talked-about performances. She's just so exciting to root for. She was a literal nobody just a few months ago, and now she's getting $1 million offers. This massive star-making performance where she does things the human body wasn't designed for. She will be nominated. She's a lock. I'm using the L word. She will be nominated. If you're still trying to find a reason to say no, and then I feel sorry for you. Now, will I say she's a lock for the win? I mean, no, that's silly and dumb and bad. But personally speaking, I don't see the alternative at this moment, and usually I can tell who's chomping at the bit. Here, I don't see it. I know some are resorting to Julianne Moore as the not Indy Never Ready choice, but no, I just feel like no. It looks like she's going to be doing a lot, and I have full faith in the nomination. But this is the performance that's going to be Indy Never Ready? Julianne Moore won her first Oscar a little over a decade ago for playing a woman with Alzheimer's. Now, she's going to win her second Oscar for a comedy drama where she's a shy, silent person that becomes confident. If Indy wasn't here, I gotta be honest, I think I'd find another alternative. Something about this performance winning doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know she's gonna have Oscar moments and monologues, and she's gonna cry and scream, but Indy Never Ready is doing all that too. Indy Never Ready is also a lock to win Critics' Choice, by the way. Absolutely she is. I know she's not a lock to win the Oscar, but want to know how I know she's winning? When Matt publicly predicted her to win, and the people who were not happy about that realized they're out of excuses, when they resorted to the "it's only July" card, I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna win. At least a nom lock, but I think she's going to win. But if we're talking noms, Indy Never Ready's a lock. Julianne Moore, I see no real reason to say she won't be nominated. I mean, the debut could fall flat, but at this point, I think Julianne Moore should be fine. Next up, I have Olivia Wilde for The Invite. She's having a great bounce back year. She's doing kind of everything in this movie. When this movie started to become a serious picture player, many people were only considering Cruise and Norton, to which I never understood it. Literally, I understood the impulse without seeing the movie, but I never understood the lack of imagination. I get that they're the former nominees, but why would the Academy look at this movie with 4 equally amazing performances and only vote for half of them, especially if the movie's in picture? The movie is now out on digital, and the only clips I've seen shared have been of Seth Rogen, and especially Olivia Wilde. I kind of don't see the case against her, and there's for sure room for her. After that, I'm going to say Virginia Fira for All of a Sudden. It doesn't sound like she has to get in, but I don't know who the fuck is winning the Drama Globe since Olivia Wilde, Julianne Moore, and I imagine Indy Never Ready are in comedy. It could be her or Sandra Hüller for Rose, who I also have in, to be fair. Virginia Fira is in the Best Picture contender, so I'm inclined to say she's ahead. Plus, she's got like monologues and shit, so Hüller's got a lot to do as well. I have to acknowledge that I am predicting two actresses who will not get SAG or BAFTA. That's tricky. But I do get the vibe that Afira could ride the strength of the movie, and Sandra Hüller's got plenty of stuff this year, and it sounds like she's doing so much in Rose that I might just say for now both get in. I do think Emily Blunt is still a contender. She is someone who feasibly could be nominated for all four precursors. She does more than enough to be nominated in my eyes. Now, yes, a lot of people did not like Disclosure Day. That is a reason to not predict her. But she does enough. And you're telling me Academy voters aren't going to watch the new Spielberg movie? Maybe they won't like it still, but they're still witnessing the performance, and it's not the most traditional nom in the world, but she's got all the stuff. So I'm not done with Emily Blunt. Could honestly consider putting her in over Sandra Hüller. Cynthia Erivo for Prima Facie. A lot of people are considering her quite heavily, and they are not without reason. She will likely carry this movie on her own, to be honest, and likely be very good. I do think people are comparing her too much to Jodie Comer, because she won the Tony for the play, but again, a lot more to handle as a one-woman show than a traditional narrative. But I imagine Ariva will be showy and do a lot of acting. I'm very open to her. Renata Ryanova, I mean, not if you're on picture, she ain't getting in. Mikey Madison with Social Reckoning, I mean, look, a Sorkin performance is seemingly a little more powerful than a Sorkin script nomination-wise, and she's going to be taking on the brunt of a lot of bullshit, and she's going to have some Honora afterglow. I know she's going to have plenty of Sorkin monologues, but I also get the vibe in the trailer that it won't be anything too big, and I think Social Reckoning might be a total no, so I'm saying no to Mikey Madison. I'm not seeing a lot of people predicting Sophie Okonedo for Clarissa or Marianne Bailey for Tender Loving Care, which I feel like is maybe a mistake to not consider them. It sounds like they both have some bait roles. Sophie Okonedo in particular has been really praised for this, so I don't want to completely rule them out just yet. I am seeing a lot of people starting to go in on Lea Seydoux for Gentle Monster and Rosalind Elazar for Misty Green. Rosalind Elazar, I don't buy without picture at all. She's a complete no-name. Indy Never Ready is at least in star status now. I mean, nothing suggesting that can't happen for Rosalind. I ain't doing her until I have reason to believe Misty Green is a thing. As far as Lea Seydoux goes, it sounds like the performance is like all like fully there. It sounds like if this was an English language movie or a little more acclaimed, she would be a potential slam dunk. Lea Seydoux is maybe not overdue, but she's certainly in the ballpark of someone who's like the right performance in the right movie away from her first nom. It sounds like she's got the right performance, but the movie is not well received, and it's a French movie. I can't think of an example of that working. That's kind of where I stopped taking people very seriously. I'm seeing Zendaya pop up for the drama, and I love that. I think that movie and her performance are amazing, and the drama is getting a second win now that it's streaming, but I think no. And while I will acknowledge that not having Penelope Cruz or Javier Bardem on my long list for Bunker was perhaps poor judgment, I still think no. For Best Actor, I'm still saying Tom Cruise will win, and I will continue to say that until I have sufficient evidence to suggest otherwise. Too much in his favors, and too much myself and my colleagues have said already. So I'm gonna instead play some games. Let's say Digger is ass, which would in turn means Cruise is not gonna win. Who is next? I've seen some theories, but really, I see 6 possible answers that I can foresee. Maybe 8 if I really want to stretch it out. Again, this is all assuming Digger sucks and Cruise isn't going to pile drive the competition. I've seen many say Matt Damon for The Odyssey, and I have conceded on the nomination. It does seem like he will just happen, but you'll notice I have him at 5 anyway, and that's only because my reservations are not gone. He is still a stoic Nolan protagonist. I don't buy that he'd beat Cruise, and the argument that Odyssey is too strong is not going to cut it for me. But I'll concede the nomination, but performance-wise, I kind of find Gosling to be more compelling as a win option as an alternative for Tom Cruise. Both of them have this, yeah, we know they do that quality, but Gosling is literally carrying a 2.5-hour movie 100% by himself. Damon is like far and away the lead, for sure, but like he very much succeeds the POV to other characters often, at least compared to Ryan Gosling. Project Hail Mary is entirely his show. I've seen plenty say that he's going to get snubbed, and I think that just is not correct. And I've yet to hear like a compelling case for why that actually is going to happen. He's going to get all 4 precursors. Y'all do know that, right? And before y'all go, except for BAFTA, yeah, y'all say that every year. Michael B. Jordan's gonna miss BAFTA. Margot Robbie's gonna miss BAFTA. Ariana Grande and Cindy Reaper gonna miss BAFTA. Maria Bakalova's gonna miss BAFTA. I just don't see why he'd miss. So I'm saying he's getting in until I get proven otherwise. Although if like Behemoth, Elsinore, Primetime, all of them like get into Best Picture, then like him and Damon have no choice but to just miss. Wild Horse 9, apparently Malkovich is just undeniable. I mean, he's like someone who would win. Not to keep bringing it up, but Cruise being the perfect concoction for a win kind of fucks that up. But yeah, I have no earthly reason to consider a John Malkovich snub. And then I have Robert Pattinson in number 3. If I'm right about Primetime in picture, I'm correct about this ranking. But if I'm not right about that in picture, I would still have Pattinson in. That trailer came out, and I was like, wow, he is in. He's doing the Chris Hansen voice. It looks like he's playing him pretty menacingly and, dare I say, psychotically. He's kind of the only contender outside of, like, Jeremy Strong for Social Reckoning or, like, the I Play Rocky dude, if you want to go there, that's doing this biopic transformation into, like, a figure that we know. And Pattinson seems to be redoing the mannerisms and voice correctly. Primetime's going to be a big deal, even if that only results in Robert Pattinson or bust, which might give him an edge. But I'll be honest, Andrew Scott is super compelling. I don't really believe in Elsinore that much, but I truthfully only don't have Andrew Scott in because the 5 is so tight to me. But he's no distant 6 or anything. Let's say it's a thought exercise. Primetime and Elsinore are only contenders for the lead actor, and then we're in a situation where like Cruise, Malkovich, Damon, and Gosling are like an impenetrable top 4, and the last slot is squarely Andrew Scott or Robert Pattinson. I see a lot that are just saying Andrew Scott. I understand why, but I do think of the two, I kind of feel like Robert Pattinson is clearly stronger. I get it, Andrew Scott could be baitier in that he cries and he's playing an actor, he's playing Ian Charleson. But I think Primetime is going to be a much bigger deal. I think Robert Pattinson is having the best year of his career. He's been getting so many notices for all of his performances. I also think he's playing a figure that we know more about, at least more intimately, and also looks like he's going to be doing some dark shit in this. Sure, Primetime and Pattinson seem a little more brutal, but the best way I can put it, both Rose Byrne and Kate Hudson got in last year, but Rose Byrne was much safer. So that's a clear top 6. They seem like the easy bunch. But I gotta say, let's stop underestimating Seth Rogen. If we're gonna predict the other 3, why the fuck would voters just decide not to vote for him? Now, can we say competition will bump him out? Yes, we can. And we can also say the Invite's not a 4 acting nomination level contender, although maybe the circumstances of this movie being what it is could help it out. Either way, I think he's seen as as good as the other 3, and also clearly seen as his best performance for a guy who's been in the game for a long time and is pretty damn respected, especially nowadays. I think he's a lot more likely than we're giving him credit. Pedro Pascal, I think if Behemoth gets in, he's a lock. Pedro Pascal is just in such a good career position to get his first nomination, and this character study where he's seemingly in every scene will likely do the trick. But I don't have this movie in, so womp womp. John Turturro is still a strong contender for his first ever nomination. It doesn't sound like the performance is that showy and that obviously a contender if it wasn't him and if he was nominated before. But Sony Pictures Classics got it. And yeah, that overdue card could push him over the edge if they play their cards right. I'm still curious about Rami Malek for The Man I Love or Javier Bardem for The Beloved. These are both Oscar-winning actors who apparently give the performances excellent performances by all accounts, although not by movies that have been picked up for whatever reason. Jack O'Connell for Ink, I kind of get the vibe that all the acting attention will go directly towards Guy Pearce. But if Ink's in picture, I don't have any real reason to say no to Jack O'Connell, or at least to not consider him. And then Sebastian Stan for Fjord. Everything I've heard about Fjord, tells me not to predict Sebastian Stan, or that he has that much of a chance. Apparently he just doesn't have that kind of performance. Ryan Foot kind of does, but Sebastian, he's not being Donald Trump this time. I see the movie in a few weeks, but from what I know, there just seems to be, no way that he's gonna, make it all over all of this strong competition. Him going, and, everyone else going forward, I'm not really taking seriously, but I guess I should mention them, I guess. A lot of them are, if they get into picture, randomly Mahershala Ali for Your Mother, Your Mother, Your Mother, or Fred Heischinger for A Long Winter. I don't know if Anthony Ippolito for I Play Rocky would get in if that movie randomly got a picture. Like, he looks a lot like Stallone, but truthfully, the voice sounds very impression-y. Like, he's a no name doing a solid Stallone impression. Like, I don't think so. Shafar Jackson, I still doubt completely. He will not get a Globe or Critics' Choice nom. We'll see if he even gets back to longlisted, although if he does, I can maybe see the nom. And then SAG, I guess they could do it, but is that enough for a no name in a critically reviled film? I simply think no. Anna de Armas got in for Blonde, very true. But I'd also argue Marilyn Monroe is a much closer to home name in Hollywood than Michael Jackson. If that really matters in this context, granted, but also Anna de Armas much more established. Yeah, that's kind of what I got. I don't think Jordan Firstman, that's not happening. Moving on to supporting actress, looking a little more sparse than the other categories. I do kind of think Anne Hathaway is winning by default, just a little bit. I mean, The Odyssey is strong, but that argument can only work so many times. Anne Hathaway's having a hell of a year, and literally all of her scenes is just her crying. And truthfully, I'm not sure who else is supposed to win if not her. I guess this could make some sense as a second win for her, and I don't know who else to predict. Also, side note, if she goes lead, that's literal suicide. I get the idea is to make room for Samantha Morton, but like, she will never win in lead because there is no case for her in lead. She is missing from literally a consecutive solid hour and a half, and she's never really the film's POV. Even when we check in on her, Tom Holland's like the central perspective. I heard one argument that you can like feel her presence like throughout, and I think we watch different movies. I refuse to believe she goes lead, and if she does, then yes, she ain't winning. And I guess I can now talk about Samantha Morton. I really thought people would move on after a week or two, but people are still going strong for Samantha Morton, which kind of tells me I need to actually take her seriously. But again, I just think The Odyssey is too strong. It's not a failsafe to just predict The Odyssey everywhere. We have to still think critically about some stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry, but Samantha Morton is in 5 minutes of a 3-hour movie. She's great in that scene. It's my favorite scene in the movie. But, like, are we really gonna say enough voters not, like, nominate her for it? Like, yes, you can yell Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans all you want, but this feels very different and less significant. It's not even like she's this overdue actress. This is a 2-time Oscar nominee. Like, how is she different than, say, like, Kathryn Hunter in Poor Things, besides height? And this is what I imagine you say, because The Odyssey is so strong. That excuse can only take you so far. Oppenheimer, aside from like costumes, didn't get anything stupid. Not that this would be stupid, but it didn't get anything that like felt like forced, except for costumes. She has gotten enough steam that I think at least Critics' Choice will do her, assuming that she maintains it up until, December. But I remain suspicious. Penelope Cruz feels very settled to me for the invite. She's got the big stuff towards the end. She's super entertaining. Not much to say. I think she's just settled. Mariana Di Girolamo, I am seeing people back away from her. And look, maybe the test stuff was wrong. Tests can be deceiving. But we are so close to the movie fully premiering. Like, I can't imagine the stuff we all collectively heard is just a pile of horseshit. So I'm just going to keep her until then. For the remaining weeks we have until we get more information and I see the movie itself. After her, I'm still saying Sandra Hüller for Digger. I feel like Sandra Hüller's got to manifest somewhere, and I know we've heard she's not in it a lot, but A, I'm sure she's in it more than fucking cameo Samantha Morton. But also B, I feel like we run into that trap like every single year, or at least often. Because she bounces early, we discredit her. It looks like she's going to have the stuff, or at least the scene to stand out when she's gone. Kind of like Tiana Taylor or Isabella Rossellini. So I'm just keeping her in. And then Tao Okamoto, again, just my feeling on all of a sudden is that the two actresses come along. In fact, maybe she's more likely than Virginia Fira, since her character is like dying from an illness and she'll likely have the big cry moments. Outside of the 5, there's Olivia Wilde for Behemoth. No reason to think she would happen if Behemoth wasn't in picture, but I do think she's the other one to get in for Behemoth. Lola Duenas or Lola Bola Negra, maybe I'm just biased because my 2 friends who saw it are really hyping her up, but the way they described her performance was that she would be a shoo-in if she was a more established name. I can't ignore that they are the only ones that have given her any hype at all out of Cannes, though. But, I have my eye on her, and honestly, I had no fucking reason to actually predict Penelope Cruz for La Bola Negra. I know now that it's fine to nominate an actress for 2 movies in the same category, but if what I'm hearing about La Bola Negra and Penelope Cruz's role in that is true, how on earth is any voter gonna vote for this performance when the invite is right there? I think Cruz is only a contender because people like really want to predict an actor for the Bola Negra, and I think it doesn't like need an actor nomination. I see people like not going for Caterica de la Fuente, and who knows, maybe I'll see it and realize that someone is easy. And yes, I did look up the pronunciation for Caterica de la Fuente because I wasn't figuring that out on my own. It sounds like Lola Duenas is really something, but I'm not there yet. I don't buy Central Hulu for Project Hail Mary. Merritt Weaver could happen. She seems to be quite important and like fun in prime time. I can see her getting her first nomination for this as like a well-regarded character actress. Got my eye on her. That's for dang sure. Kate O'Flynn, hot off of her Emmy nomination for Widow's Bay, apparently playing quite a character in Tender Loving Care. Excited to see what Tender Loving Care could be in the Oscar race, and I think she'll at least get some buzz, right? Some of that momentum she has right now. What else we got? We got Olivia Colman for Elsinore. I mean, if it's in picture, probably. But without picture, playing the doctor role, like opposite of Andrew Scott, not that compelling to me, to be honest. I mean, I guess I could have said the same thing about Hong Chow and the Whale. So I guess we'll see. I'm sure she's playing with some stuff. Nothing else that compelling to me. As me Creed Miles know. Scarlett Johansson for Paper Tiger. The only correct answer for Paper Tiger is that it's gonna get goose egged. And then for supporting actor, I still think Paul Giamatti wins. Him playing the loud and harsh, like, theater director seems like a great time to give Paul Giamatti an Oscar. Seems like he's got the role. Good time to give him his first Oscar. Like, it just is. Kieran Culkin got a supporting actor win for the last Jesse Eisenberg movie. I'm not suggesting that's just gonna happen every time Eisenberg makes a movie, but Paul Giamatti as the like spontaneous and mean director, like, seems like a good bet. Seems like very well like accustomed to Giamatti's like sensibilities. John Goodman seems like a good bet as well. I think the nomination seems pretty good. He's playing like the president. The trailer makes it look like he's doing a lot. He looks like a fucking ghost. He's like a foot in the grave, clearly. I have no reason to suspect a snub for either Paul Giamatti or John Goodman. Get Goodman his first nomination for Digger. Seems like a big role. But again, similarly playing to his strengths. Giamatti and Goodman both have roles that seem to be playing to like what we love of them. After them, I got Steve Buscemi. You might be thinking, why him and not Sam Rockwell? You know, Sam Rockwell is probably going to be co-lead of Wild Horse 9 anyway. I can buy both for sure. But supporting actor is really stacking up, and I gotta make some choices. I think Wild Horse 9 is getting something in this category. But, like, yeah, Sam Rockwell is like the previous winner of the co-lead, but it sounds like Steve Buscemi does enough. And I just do not believe the Academy is going to pass up on this opportunity to give Steve Buscemi his first nomination. Get him and Goodman and possibly even John Turturro all their first time nomination. Get the whole Big Lebowski crew going. So I got him and not Sam Rockwell. Although it could be both. Or hell, maybe just Rockwell and sadly no Buscemi. But I got him for now. Ed Norton. Don't really feel like regurgitating the invite talk for like the fourth time. We all know why he's getting this. Apparently he came up with like his big monologue. That's some narrative juice they can run with. I don't have a strong case against Ed Norton, so I'm just gonna predict him. Bada bing, bada boom. And then I have Skylar Gisondo. I'm kind of trying to analyze Primetime's worst case scenario if it's in picture, and I guess worst case scenario doesn't have to include Skylar Gisondo, but I watched that trailer. I just kind of get a strong feeling of what that character is and what his arc is going to be. And it really looks like he's going to have a lot. He's been building himself up for the last few years, and if Primetime's in picture, I think he'd come along with it. Like, he's playing one of the actors, like, of the Sting operation. It looks like he's got some moral conundrums going on. So, I'm going with him. Outside of 5, we got Sam Rockwell, who I already discussed. We got Guy Pearce for Ink. Could happen, even without picture. He's playing fucking Rupert Murdoch. He's hot off of his first ever nomination for The Brutalist. I believe in him completely, maybe even more than the movie itself, and it is hard not putting him in, to be honest, but I like my 5, as is. But I got a good eye on Guy Pearce. I'm definitely not underestimating him. I do believe in John Leguizamo. He's been in the industry for a while. He's playing the wise, trusted ally of Odysseus. I think he makes a lot of sense for a first-time nomination. Again, first real chance to do it. Seems like such a good opportunity to reward a guy with a lot of friends in the industry. But again, you know, supporting actor, hey man, it's a little tight. And I'll say it again, saying the Odyssey is too strong isn't just gonna get it everything. But I have a lot of faith in him. I'm not just, you know, dissing him. A lot of these I do strongly believe in, I just don't have room for them. Such as Riz Ahmed for Digger, who seems to be doing a lot, maybe not quite as much as John Goodman, although his character seems more significant. Jeremy Strong's Mark Zuckerberg looks really good and could easily weasel his way into the nomination, but again, I'm kind of banking on Social Reckoning being a nothing burger piece of shit. Maybe he can survive that, though. Daniel Kaluuya actually looks really good in Mr. Green. It'll be his first nom since he won for Judas and the Black Messiah. He seems to be, like, his character seems to be a little, like, mentally unwell in this movie. He's got some blow ups in the trailer. I got my eye on him as much as I don't believe in Misty Green. Ike Barinholtz for Artificial. I do think if anyone gets a supporting op for Artificial, I think it's him. Assuming he's not just in it for like 5 minutes. He's playing Elon Musk. He's going to be a big standout. He's hot off of an Emmy nom for the studio. Now, I don't know how willing and ready the Academy is to nominate Ike Barinholtz. That seems a little, odd. And for what it's worth, I am starting to hear that Andrew Garfield is actually supporting and Yura Borisov is actually lead, which would contradict pretty much everything I know about this movie. But I do think that would put Garfield over Barinholtz. But that's where I'm at. I'm saying Barinholtz for now. Everyone else I'm a little wishy-washy on. Coleman Domingo, yeah, right, if SAG even does it. Channing Tatum, if Josephine comes back, then maybe. Same as I put with Gemma Chan. Let's get the screenplays going. Original screenplay. I think this will be Mark McDonagh's year. I don't know how much the competition has over this movie, but McDonough's movies are quick-witted and funny and oddly meditative, and without an all-timer genre fare like Get Out or Everything Everywhere All at Once to overtake it, I think Wild Horse 9 should be good to go. You could say Obsession is that genre fare. It is a phenomenon. It is an original tale, and I guess you can make the case for it. And if Wild Horse 9 falls flat, I think we're stuck with Obsession winning because who the fuck else? I guess maybe Digger? I guess that makes sense. Or maybe they want to give Mike Leigh his farewell win. Either way, Obsession's getting in. It's now the highest grossing purely original movie of the decade. Its concept isn't anything new, but Corey Barker makes his own rules and plays around with the world with a lot of humor. That's a screenplay nom type of deal. Digger, I thought maybe could miss out due to being divisive, but that might be more director. Here, it's like a big ideas comedy. Those aren't what get snubbed as a picture player, so I'll concede to Digger in screenplay. And then it gets tricky. So I have Tender Loving Care. Look, it's Mike Leigh's final film. He's a previous nominee in this category. Yes, I know it's bleaker, again, and they fucked up with Hard Truths. But this seems a lot less hostile than that, and maybe a little more heartwarming. And again, Mike Leigh's farewell script seems like if it's good, they could do it. And I do have Fjord, which is strange, because that is, to me at least, an admission that there's enough admiration for the movie to get this nom. I know Fjord will be left entirely to dust. Munju's movies are very dialogue heavy. I think this could make enough sense. But it's weird to say you'll have passion for the nom, but not for picture. I have Debut just out. Again, a shy woman becomes confident story. Doesn't seem like it has to get screenplay, especially not with picture. But A Real Pain didn't get picture, but he easily got screenplay, and his writing is very smart and snappy, so I could buy it. But I want Mike Leigh. Club Kid is still a question mark in my head. Seems possible, but I want to see it first. Could be its lone nom. Behemoth, Artificial, Elsinore, those feel like would get in if the movie's in picture. Otherwise, I have doubts. Possible Love, would love to see it, but I think it would need to be incredible, which I'm sure it will be, and ignore it anyway. And let's see what that screenplay. Now, La Bola Negra can win this. But I did say, after watching the invite, if that were to get picture, I think that's a screenplay frontrunner. La Bola Negra seems less to me like a screenplay film in comparison to the invite, which is so snappy and funny and filled with dialogue and these fascinating conversations and these uncomfortable conversations, really, and these little turns that aren't necessarily twists, but that definitely shifts. It's more of a screenplay movie, at least I assume. I haven't seen La Bola Negra, but I assume it's more of a screenplay movie than La Bola Negra. I'm open to being wrong, but I am a man of my word, so I must predict the invite to win. The invite will be nominated even if it wasn't in picture. That's how good the script is. I got Project Hail Mary. I have no doubts there. I still stand by that it's going to have a comeback. And the script is very Oscar. I'm not sure why it would miss. It's genre-ish. It's got so much science jargon. It's got a lot of humor. I have no reason to say this wouldn't be a shoo-in for a nom. Primetime. I mean, it looks very visceral and intense and maybe not quite as screenplay heavy. But considering what I imagine it's actually going to wind up being, i.e. like a character study and all that, I think a screenplay nom might just be a package deal for Primetime, which leads to one more slot. And I'm giving it to All of a Sudden. A lot of this movie is going to be monologues. If it's like Drive My Car, so again, I can't help but think it would be a package deal for All of a Sudden in Pictures. So I'm sticking with that for now, which does mean I don't have The Odyssey, which I know I'm going to get flack for. And I personally don't mind that it's an action movie. It has more than enough to make up for that. But I have the other five that are more screenplay-y, and The Odyssey is getting more attention for the spectacle. And let's also not forget that this is a centuries-old story that's been told plenty of times on screen. Not even in a roundabout way like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. This is hardcore Odyssey. Sure, it's got some fucking Nolan flourishes, but it's still like Odyssey, a story everybody knows. Could be a problem when the category is stacked like this, and again, but the Odyssey is so strong, isn't gonna do it every time. Kills of Flower Moon was super strong, that missed. Odyssey is clearly stronger than this, but Mank was the nomination leader in a COVID year about the writing of Citizen Kane, written by Fincher's dead dad, and they decided to skip it for weaker films. I believe in the Odyssey, but getting snubbed isn't that weird to me, and I think the other five are more likely. Not more likely, but like make more sense. What's weird is I have Dune winning Best Picture but not getting nominated here. That's weird as hell. And this could be nominated for the record. Yes, Dune 2 missed, but counter, Dune 1 got in. So it's possible, but I like my 5 as is. Ink could happen. Seems like it'll be also snappy and showy. Maybe get in without picture. Is there a world where Minotaur randomly comes back and just has to get this nomination? I'm interested to see if that's a possibility, because that movie got a lot of hype. I don't even know what to say about Social Reckoning. That needs to be said. We know why it can happen, and I think we know why it won't. It's not going to live up to the all-timer Social Network script, and we've seen Sorkin is not invincible. Yeah, I'm not even really close to predicting Tarantino, which is super weird and maybe a mistake, but here we are. And that's it. That's the predictions. Man, we are like very close to the festivals. That's crazy. I'm starting like TIFF like Monday. Like the Monday that after this gets posted, I start. So that's fucking weird. So, be cool. Let's come share. Bye-bye.